Welcome to the Kenya Wanamnoda Movement, KWM podcast. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive. We're going right into the heart of the Kenya Wanamnoda Movement itself. We want to explore its vision, its urgent call to action for Kenya. And our main source for this is straight from KWM, a really powerful recent article called "What Kind President Tells Security Forces to Shoot Youth? It's Time for a Change."
Exactly. And our mission here really is to unpack KWM's perspective. What's their view on leadership in Kenya right now? We need to get a real understanding of their sharp critique and really explore their call for a future that's more accountable, more compassionate. So we'll be distilling the core arguments, yeah, but also that message of empowerment that seems to drive the whole movement.
Okay, so setting the stage. This article we're looking at, it kicks off with a very direct a profoundly serious concern. It grabs you immediately, focuses on this alarming issue KWM sees facing the nation. They highlight a statement that KWM clearly finds deeply troubling. It sets a really stark tone right from the start.
Right. And what's really insightful, I think, is how KWM immediately lays out its core stance. They position themselves as a movement that's, well, dedicated to challenging impunity, to promoting accountable leadership. That seems clear. And the themes in this article, they directly reflect that commitment. It's obvious KWM isn't, pulling any punches and assessing the current administration. They're putting forward a very specific viewpoint, a very impactful one that they clearly want everyone to understand.
Yeah, no kidding. They don't waste any time at all. The article just plunges straight in with this chilling accusation. They quote directly what they attribute to the current leadership. Shoot them in the legs, let them bleed, send them to the hospital, and then let them await trial. And KWM, in their text, they don't mince words here. They immediately label a leader who'd say that as a rogue, even a bandit president. Someone who, in KWM's view, has no regard for human life or dignity. It's an immediate, incredibly powerful indictment. It sets the tone for everything else.
And that choice of language, rogue, bandit president, it's very deliberate, isn't it? Very impactful. KWM isn't just offering some mild criticism here. They seem to be actively trying to strip the leader of moral authority. By using terms like that, they're framing the leadership, or trying to, as operating outside the legitimate bounds of governance. And that, in their view, seems to justify this more radical call for change they make later. It's a rhetorical strategy, really, aimed at maybe criminalizing the leadership in the public mind and stirring up some deep indignation.
That's a really important point for understanding how KWM operates here. And it's not just the accusation itself. KWM then takes this really disturbing statement and tries to personalize it, challenging you, the reader, directly. They ask you to think, if it was your son or daughter, would you still speak like this? Would you still be indifferent? If these lies were close to you. It's a direct appeal to empathy. It forces you into a kind of moral confrontation.
And that personalization is, well, it's a powerful tactic. You see it a lot in social movements. It's designed to bridge that gap between abstract political stuff and actual, tangible human suffering. KWM is aiming to make the issue feel intensely relatable, pushing the audience to confront what they see as the dehumanization of youth. A dehumanization they perceive as a chilling reality coming from the very top. It's strategic, trying to galvanize public empathy, public action, move people beyond just watching to feeling some shared responsibility.
Right. Then the article really leans into this stark contrast. KWM asks, what would a truly caring president do? Or someone who actually has the nation's best interest at heart. They highlight what they see as this massive betrayal of trust, of responsibility, posing the question, would a leader like that send armed forces to maim unarmed youth, leaving them to bleed on the streets? It's a very clear line they draw between what KWM thinks leadership should be and what they claim it is right now.
And this contrast, it's fundamental to KWM's whole vision for Kenya, it seems. They aren't just criticizing, they're simultaneously painting a picture of an alternative, which lines up with KWM's broader ethical stance you see in their other writings, like the one on Kenya's politicians, the hypocrisy behind their church visits. In KWM's view, a leader's actions, especially ones disregarding human life, fundamentally break that moral contract with the people, which makes, public displays of piety, like going to church, seem hollow, hypocritical to them. So the article presents this specific incident of violence as the reality under the current administration, arguing the leader has chosen to harm rather than protect. It emphasizes KWM's perspective that these aren't isolated things, but maybe part of a deeper, more troubling pattern in the current leadership.
And KWM takes this critique even further, right? They expand beyond the direct violence. They talk about what they call a nation under siege, the cost of indifference, asking really poignant questions like, what about the parents? What about the communities? Do their feelings not matter? Are the lives of their children less valuable? It's a powerful call to look at the wider impact emotionally and socially.
Yeah, that section is crucial. It highlights KWM's view on systemic failures. They argue that the consequences of leadership choices just ripple outwards, affecting the whole country. The article directly challenges that disconnect between promises made in the past and the grim reality they see now. It points to concrete examples: crumbling hospitals, overcrowded classrooms, dilapidated roads, stark evidence, they say, that the hope for a better future hasn't materialized. And KWM links this straight to what they see as corrupt governance, arguing resources get reverted, leading to the decay of essential services. This connects to their critique in that other piece, Ruto's hypocrisy, why his Cash 1.2b church is a monument to corruption. They seem to argue that spending lavishly on, say, a 1.2 billion shilling church while public services fall apart shows fundamentally misplaced priorities, a disregard, in their view, for the average citizen's welfare.
Wow. That definitely paints a vivid and, concerning picture of KWM's analysis. They then pivot to challenge the very legitimacy of the leadership, posing the fundamental question: if the president can't even see the worth of his own people, can he truly lead a nation? So it's not just about policy critique anymore. It's a direct challenge to the leader's basic responsibility, their moral standing with the people.
And that flows naturally into KWM's perspective on collective responsibility. That's a major theme for them. The article asks point blank if citizens can truly watch such a leader in action and remain silent. Okay. Framing indifference not just as being passive, but as actively complicit in what they describe as the destruction of the nation's future. It's a powerful challenge. An invitation, really, for every single citizen to think about their own role, their accountability, when faced with these perceived injustices. KWM seems to want to wake people up, create a sense of urgency, of shared ownership over where the nation is heading.
Okay, so KWM lays out this critique of leadership, the wider impact. Where do they focus next? Are there specific institutions they call out, and what's the significance of that for their overall message?
Right. This is where KWM really sharpens its focus onto institutional accountability, or maybe the lack of it, as they see it. They have a section titled "The Betrayal, Where is the Outrage?" And in it, KWM expresses deep disappointment with the silence from key national institutions. They ask directly, where is the Senate? Where is Parliament? Where are the MPs? Where is the toothless NCIC? And the NCIC, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, just for context, that's the body meant to foster unity, address ethnic tensions. So KWM calling it toothless, well, that highlights their perception of a profound failure in its basic mission. They think it's not doing its job to protect national cohesion.
And KWM makes some pretty serious, direct allegations about why these institutions are silent, don't they? What's their claim?
It's a very strong claim, yeah. They allege these bodies have all become members of Ruto's puppet show. They have been bought to be silent. Now, that's an assertion suggesting a deliberate suppression of critical voices within the government, maybe through illicit means. It really speaks to a deep disillusionment with the democratic structures themselves, the ones meant to provide checks and balances. And KWM frames this as a major betrayal of public trust. This ties into KWM's consistent focus on political maneuvers they see as deceptive or corrupt, like in their article about why Moses Kuria's resignation is a deceptive political maneuver. They're clearly watching closely and very actively criticizing what they interpret as calculated political strategies designed to, manipulate people or just silence dissent.
And these powerful allegations, they build up to KWM's explicit demand for action. That feels like a really significant moment in their message. What exactly do they call for?
It's completely unequivocal, they state. The time has come for impeachment. It's time to remove a man who has shown time and again that he lacks the ability, the empathy, and the respect needed to lead a nation. So this isn't just a call for someone to be held accountable. It's a call for the ultimate constitutional removal of a leader, which really signifies the depth of KWM's dissatisfaction. Their conviction that the current situation just isn't sustainable and needs, drastic change. It's a very clear, very direct call to action aimed right at the institutional level.
That is definitely a bold stance. But, for many people, especially when they feel dissatisfied for a long time, there can be this sense of hopelessness, like you're stuck. Does KWM address that feeling of despair at all? What message do they offer?
They do. They actually confront that thought directly. What if we're stuck with him? And they counter it with a message of empowerment. This man is not the only one who can lead. They say his arrogance, cruelty, and lack of leadership are clear. And then they emphatically repeat their core belief, we deserve better, come in. This is about trying to instill hope, reminding people of their collective power, even when things look overwhelming. KWM's approach here kind of echoes what they observed in that other piece. Kenya's youth defy division. Ruto's tribal rhetoric sparks a name revolution, where they highlighted the resilience, the ingenuity of young people challenging what KWM saw as divisive talk. KWM seems to believe the power to change leadership ultimately lies with the people, especially the youth, who can collectively demand a different future.
Okay, this leads very naturally into KWM's broader call to action segment, Stand for a Better Kenya. What's the long-term warning they issue there, and what's the choice they present to citizens?
Well, KWM issues a pretty sobering warning about the long-term costs of just doing nothing. They state that the damage he's done will outlast his time in office. The pain, the division, and the distrust he has fostered will remain for generations. So this isn't just about current problems. KWM frames the situation as having really profound historical implications, which underscores the urgency of their call. And then they present that stark choice. Will you stand by and watch as this rogue president continues to destroy the promise of Kenya, or will you take a stand for a better future? It's a direct challenge, pushing individuals, you, to consider your role, your responsibility in shaping the nation's path. This call to action is absolutely central to KWM's identity. It's a movement built on that idea of collective participation, the power of individual voices coming together.
And this emphasis on collective responsibility, it isn't just talk for KWM, is it? It's a direct invitation to get involved. They're urging every citizen to become part of the solution, to help shape Kenya's future. So if you're feeling inspired by this call, if you want to contribute to that future, we really encourage you to check out www.wanhemanotum.com. You can create an account there, start sharing your own ideas that could help change your village, your city, your nation.
Exactly. And the article then finishes by clearly articulating KWM's vision for the leadership Kenya needs. They describe a leader who values life, who understands the importance of unity and compassion, a leader who can bring people together, not tear them apart. So it's not just a critique of the present, it's also a blueprint for the future KWM wants to see, emphasizing humanity, cohesion. And this positive vision of leadership serves as the ultimate contrast to the political maneuvers and hypocrisy they dissect in their other articles, like the one on Moses Kuria's resignation. KWM seems to champion leadership based on integrity, genuine concern for the people, setting it apart from what they portray as, self-serving political games.
So we really dug into the powerful message from the Kenyawantam Notum movement today. We've explored their deep concerns about leadership, their passionate call for accountability, and their clear vision for a more just, more compassionate Kenya. This deep dive, I think, shows that KWM isn't just pointing out problems, they're actively urging citizens to demand better, to reclaim their nation, really, and to participate actively in shaping a positive future. It's about empowering your individual voice within that collective movement.
Right. And as you reflect on KWM's message, their call for change, maybe consider how movements like this actually encourage active citizenship, and think about the pivotal role individual voices really play in demanding accountability, in shaping a nation's future. The choice, as KWM seems to frame it, ultimately rests with the people.
And if you feel ready to contribute to that future again, we encourage you, visit www.wanhemanotum.com. Create your account. Start sharing your ideas that can help change your village, your city, your nation. Your voice, your ideas, they're genuinely vital to this movement, according to KWM. Thank you for listening to the Kenyawantam Notum movement.